Hello, movie nerds, and welcome to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we are going to talk about Obi Wan Kenobi, Episode 3. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't had a chance to watch yet, I would go do that. So we catch back up with Obi Wan Kenobi and young Princess Leia. They've escaped the Inquisitors and have landed on a distant mining planet. They are meant to meet a third party who will help them board a ship and get back to Alderaan, but when they arrive at their destination, the third party is nowhere to be found. Princess Leia ends up trying to make friends with someone whose name I can't remember, but he's like a mole person or something of that nature. She thinks everyone is kind, and they end up getting on his transport vehicle, and it turns out that he is sympathetic to the Empire and ends up kind of turning them over to the stormtroopers. They are rescued by Indira Varma, who turns out to be an Imperial officer who has sort of traded sides and is helping Jedi escape the Empire. She takes them to her hideaway in the port town and ends up having like a secret underground tunnel where she has, as mentioned, been helping Jedi get to ships in order to escape. So as she is helping Obi-Wan and Princess Leia kind of get ready to go down this tunnel and board the ship that will eventually take them to Alderaan, the Inquisitors, as they would, show up to this mining planet, and they bring with them, dun dun dun, Darth Vader. Vader ends up going through the town, and he is sort of force choking people and causing havoc, I think in a way to get Obi-Wan to come out because they know he's there. Obi-Wan ends up separating from Leia and Indira Varma's character and telling them to go on without him, and he will eventually catch up. So in this episode, we do get to see the clash between Vader and Obi-Wan, which I think they should have waited until maybe the last episode to do so. It takes a lot of the magic out of it that they meet up at this point. It's not the battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader that I think we were all hoping for. Obi-Wan is considerably out of shape, and I think in this scene, Darth Vader would have wiped the floor with him, but instead of that happening, he kind of is saved by Indira Varma, who distracts Vader and the stormtroopers that are there and is able to get Obi-Wan away. But I think that the interaction, though it does have some good points, just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense in this context. Darth Vader does at one point have Obi-Wan up in like a choke hold, and he sets the ground underneath Obi-Wan on fire and pulls him into the flames. And this was, I think, very poetic in that Darth Vader is now burning Obi-Wan, essentially the way that Obi-Wan burned him. But the way that it's done is just, it's not very well done in my opinion, because literally Obi-Wan has long hair, he has long robes, he's pulled into the flames, and none of him seems to burn. Like, there are flames everywhere around him. His hair is not singed. His clothes are really only singed on part of his arm or like one half of his body. And it took a lot of the scariness out of it for me, I think. Plus, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of the epic fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan the way that it is in the original films. It kind of takes away from that scene in the original films, because here it's very obvious that Obi-Wan is just not up to the standard to be able to fight Vader, which I gather he's not supposed to be. He's been in hiding. It's been 10 years. But I think that Darth Vader could have just killed him in 4 seconds and then gone on, and Leia would have been all by herself. I also don't really quite understand why Obi-Wan needed to separate himself from Leia here. I think they both could have made it to the ship and gotten off world before Vader had found them. Really, the only thing that stops them from being able to do this is that Obi-Wan wants to essentially lead Vader away from the town and away from the people, which is kind of what almost gets him killed in the end. I think so far this show hasn't really lived up to my expectations. A lot of the show focuses on kind of the story of the Inquisitors, and I think for a 6-episode miniseries, they should have maybe cut that storyline out, maybe done an Inquisitor sideshow or something of that nature, just so that we could focus on Obi Wan Kenobi and the story with him and Darth Vader. It really reminds me of Book of Boba Fett, where halfway through Book of Boba Fett, it became just Mandalorian season 2.5, and I'm not interested in that. I came to Obi-Wan to watch Obi-Wan. I didn't come to Obi-Wan to watch the Battle of the Inquisitors fighting for Grand Inquisitor spot. So I'm not really sure where this is going. I'm curious to see how the next 3 episodes have played out, but at this point, I don't really know if it's going to be exactly what I hoped for. So tell me what you thought in the comments of episode 3. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.